This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television. For animal lovers, by animal lovers.
Take a look at this wonderful animal here. This happens to be a pastel lesser GHI. Now the GHI, I'm going to show you right now, is actually a kind of a color and pattern mutation. What I mean by that is it's a dark color enhancer, and then you can see how it's really busy. Now the GHI is that type of codominant mutation that makes things even more extreme busy, so they're really beautiful in their own right. And of course there is a super GHI, which would basically mean instead of producing a GHI to say a normal and half the babies on average coming out GHI, all the babies would be GHI when you breed a super. But regardless, take a look at this one right here. This is a pastel lesser GHI, and those three combinations are absolutely incredible. I always say GHI lesser and GHI Mojave to me are the most beautiful of the GHI mutations. But even something as simple as this pastel GHI is really gorgeous. Ooh, and this is a feisty monkey too. Did you see that? It just wanted to bite the heck out of me, but it's still a gorgeous animal. But I tell you what, I've produced a bunch of really cool GHIs over the last several years. This happens to be one of my favorite ones that I've gotten recently, and this is actually a lesser B GHI. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so rare for a ball python to act that way, where it's going to actually try to eat me. And again, this wasn't a defensive bite like, oh, I'm going to just try to get him away. This is, look at that. It's actually hooked onto me. It thinks my pinky is a finger, and it's really interesting because this guy just ate a couple days ago. Again, now this happens to be a spider, a lesser, and a GHI, because of course the lesser bees are the lesser spiders. But just take a look at how beautiful that is. So anyways guys, I have a ton of cool ball pythons this year, and this whole show is going to be about the coolest baby ball pythons that we have right now. And I'm going to get this little monkey back because he's a little feisty guy, right? Take a look at this one. This is a relatively new mutation, actually two mutations, and this is actually a cypress honey and also a ghost ball python. Now the cypress and honey are both a codominant mutation, and the cypress is a little bit like the bongo mutation, but it's like the lighter version of the bongo mutation. And again, this is a recessive ghost on top of it. And some of this stuff is really cool that we've got going on with it. This happens to be a pewter honey cypress. So again, it's got the cypress gene, it's got the honey gene, but it's also got the pastel gene and a cinnamon gene attached, and that's just a really cool looking animal. I really am excited for the future of this mutation. It's a relatively new mutation, so we really don't know what's going to happen. We've seen some bongo mutations, but this one is a little bit lighter and a little bit different than the bongo stuff, so we'll see what happens here. And then take a look at this. This is actually a ghost black pastel honey cypress. So this has got all kinds of things going on with it. Speaking of cool stuff that's going on, we've started a vlog channel, which Monday through Friday, you're going to get daily vlogs of my life here at BHB, my travels around the world, animal adventures, whatever is going on. We've been doing it for about a month now, so you guys can go back and binge watch a month of my life and join me every day, Monday through Friday, to see what's going on here at BHB and just in my life. I'll go ahead and put an annotation right here, or you can click on a link in the description, or hey, you can go to my main channel and there's actually a link right there that says Brian Barczyk's vlog channel. Again, you can search it if you want to, Brian Barczyk, well, whatever. But anyways, check it out. Please subscribe. It's an awesome time. I want to have you guys join me for this awesome adventure, and let's get back to ball pythons. This happens to be one of my favorite banana mutations because I really like how banana reacts to dark ball pythons. And of course, cinnamon pastel ball pythons are pretty dark ball pythons, so you get tons of that purple. And again, with a banana, the purple is really where the dark brown or black is. So the cinnamons are pretty dark brown and black, which makes them that really beautiful purple color. But I tell you, another one that is very similar to a cinnamon and is just absolutely, take a look at that, guys. That thing is ridiculous. That is actually a black pastel banana. And again, the black pastel and the cinnamon are both codominant mutations and both relatively similar, but that thing is ridiculous. And sticking with the banana gene, this happens to be be a banana spider extreme gene animal. So again, that extreme gene is going to really reduce that animal. And of course, the spider is an incomplete dominant or codominant with a lethal gene, whatever it may be. And of course, the banana is codominant as well. But just look at how reduced that pattern in. His baby ball pythons are oftentimes pretty snappy, but I tell you, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous snake. Let's see what we got here. Oh, check this out. This happens to be a pastel crystal ball python. So again, the pastel is a codominant mutation. Now, the crystal happens to be an allelic animal, which is between a Mojave, which is codominant, and a special, which is codominant. So very much like the super stripes, when you breed a special to a Mojave, you get crystals, and of course this is a pastel version on top of that. And then I can take it one step even further and get the super pastel version, which is right here. And really the only difference between the pastel crystal and the super pastel crystal is obviously the pastel gene is on both sides, which makes them a little bit lighter. The head is much more faded out, and even the pattern is a little bit more faded, but I've always loved the crystal ball pythons. All right, so what we have here is actually a sterling orange dream. Now, the orange gene animals are really incredible because it brightens things up. It reduces a little bit of pattern, especially mixed with spiders, although there's no spider in this one. And the sterling is actually a super pastel cinnamon. And of course, it has lesser in it. So this is a super pastel cinnamon lesser orange dream. That's a really powerhouse animal. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and that is super, super cool. And then, you know, I always talk about Enchies and how much I really love Enchies. And of course, this is a super Enchie pinstripe. So again, the Enchie is codominant. This is the super version, which really, really reduces the pattern. And of course, pinstripe is an incomplete dominant or dominant animal. And of course, it already has a reduction of pattern. So when you add the super Enchie into it, it gets really, really light. Now, again, you start adding orange dream into this, or fire, or pastel, and it gets even better and better. So it's a great building block. And sticking with the super Enchie stuff, this is actually a super Enchie spider, which is going to be relatively similar to the pinstripe. The spiders and pinstripes kind of are the same in the fact that they're both, you know, a dominant type animal, and they both reduce pattern. But this again is a super Enchie spider, and then we actually combine the two together, and we produce a super Enchie spinner ball python, which is even less pattern to it. Again, this is a spider, a pinstripe, and a super Enchie. So that's pretty awesome for sure. And let's see what we have here. This is actually one of those orange dream animals. Just to give you an idea of what I meant by orange dream, this is actually a pastel orange dream. So it's just a double codominant animal. But again, it just, look at how clean the sides are on this and how bright it is for a pastel. That's what orange dream does. And the thing that's neat about orange dreams is that a lot of ball pythons are really pretty as babies, and then they kind of fade out as they get bigger. The orange dream actually gets more colorful as it gets older and cleaner. So the orange dreams are absolutely wonderful for a mutation. This is a really beautiful snake here. This is actually a fire killer bee. The killer bee is a super pastel spider, and the fire, of course, is a codominant gene that makes the black-eyed Lucies, which I'm about to show you right now. But I cannot believe how feisty this guy is. And again, the super pastel and the spider making the killer bee is already a really gorgeous snake. But then you add that fire gene, and it just really gets it beautiful and clean and vibrant, and holy cow, is this thing fired up. All it wants a piece of me for sure. So I'll go ahead and put that back. And this is actually the black-eyed Lucy from the fire to a fire. So again, you know, this isn't cutting edge per se, because there's been black-eyed Lucys being produced for probably 8 or 10 years or so, but still they're super, super nice. I mean, and the thing that's neat about these compared to, say, the blue-eyed Lucys is the fact that a lot of times they do have these paradoxing blotches, so they have this yellow breakthrough, which I think gives them a little bit of character, to be honest with you. But of course, they have those black eyes and the red pupils that make them really, really gorgeous. So moving on to this is actually a pastel banana kingpin. So again, it has a bunch of genes. It has pastel, it has banana, it has lesser, and it has pinstripe, and it makes for a really pretty snake. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of the lesser banana stuff. I think they're really beautiful, and they make it really soft looking, which is something I like. But again, because it's kind of a lighter animal, you don't have those rich purples that come through that I personally like a lot. Nevertheless, this is really a beautiful snake. And speaking of a beautiful snake, you aren't going to get much better than highway ball pythons. This is a highway ball python right here. absolutely gorgeous. And again, this is much like the crystal that we talked about earlier. This is an allelic animal, and it's in that same complex as super stripe, pumas, and of course highways. And what this is a gravel to a yellow belly. So again, you can't produce highways from breeding gravels or yellow bellies separately, but when you put them together, on average, 1 in 4 babies is going to come out as a highway. And man, they are just absolutely gorgeous. And to take it one step further and even more gorgeous, take a look at that one right there. That thing is stunning, and that is a pastel highway. So the exact same animal as the highway, just with that codominant pastel gene added to it. So what we have here is a cinnapin banana. Now I told you guys that I really love the cinnamon in the banana. Well, this is a cinnamon and banana, but it's added a pinstripe to it. So essentially you have 3 different mutations that make one badass snake, and I absolutely love the way this pattern comes out, and they just get cooler as they get bigger too, so it's really cool. Now moving on to a single gene recessive that's been around for quite a while, but believe it or not, the genetic stripes, which is a recessive mutation, when they first were out were $35,000 a piece. That's right, the first one I bought from Jeremy Stone was $35,000. Nowadays, they're about 300 bucks, so there's a big difference, and of course all these snakes are fired up today. A lot of times because I think I talk with my hands for some reason, but the reason I'm showing you the genetic stripe, which is obviously a genetic striped ball python that's basically patternless other than that, is I want to show you some progression here. This is actually a gorgeous snake, and this is a banana genetic stripe. So basically what you have to do is breed a genetic stripe to a banana, produce bananas that are het for genetic stripe, and then breed them back in order to get banana genetic stripe. So it takes some time. This is a minimum 3 to 5 year project just to get this animal, which is really cool. Now I want to show you the next progression, which of course is what they call a motley bee, which is a spider genetic stripe, which you have to produce the exact same way as you do the banana genetic stripe. You have to take a spider to a genetic stripe, get spiders, het for genetic stripe, breed them back, and get motley bees. And then we'll take it to the next level here too and produce the banana motley bees, and that is really beautiful. So what you have is a banana, a genetic stripe, and a spider. So that's a 3-gene animal, 2 of them being either dominant or codominant, and 1 of them being a recessive trait, which is really difficult to get, but that is a stunner. This is just such a soft and light looking animal here. This is actually a banana sterling. And you might notice we've done a lot of banana stuff. And the reason for that is they're just really beautiful. But the banana sterling is actually a banana super pastel cinnamon ball python. And again, the cinnamon ball python is really beautiful with banana, but unfortunately when you get it into super pastel, it kind of fades all that away because the super pastel takes away most of the black, making it a really beautiful yellow snake. But then you put it into banana, and I really like it because it really fades it out, but it doesn't have that really rich purple that I love with the cinnamons. Nevertheless, a beautiful snake. Let's see what we got here. We've got, oh, this is just a really nice kind of washed out. Again, nothing too cutting edge, but still really cool. This is a super pastel champagne, much like the super pastel sterling I just showed you. This is a double pastel, which is a super version, and again, it's a champagne, which is a dominant type animal. It's actually codominant, but the super form is lethal, so you can't really produce a super champagne. So theoretically, it's codominant, but you can never get the super version. Now, this happens to be really beautiful. Another banana version. This is actually a fire pastavi banana. Oh, let me say that. There's so many genes going on here. So this is a fire, a pastel, and a Mojave, and a banana, of course. So really a beautiful animal. Just look at how, that's another gene I really like together is Mojave and banana. I think those go together really good. Whereas the lesser kind of gets like a little bit muddled. The Mojave is a richer, darker colored animal and really beautiful. So that's really a good one. So let's say moving on here. Oh, this whole clutch was just crazy. This is actually a super enchy spinner lesser. So again, a super enchy spinner lesser, which means a super enchy, a pinstripe, a spider, and a lesser. And you can see how reduced that pattern gets. I mean, that is just really cool. Like I said, this whole clutch, this is one clutch. I'm going to show you the next like 3 or 4 animals. So it's really crazy. This is actually a super enchy pin lesser woma. So it's almost exactly what I just said there with the super enchy spinner, but lesser. But this is actually, instead of of spider, it's Woma ball python, because the mother was actually a lesser Woma. I don't know what it is. Anyways, this was the Woma version of the spinner, which is just crazy. And then this thing is just absolutely mind-numbing as far as the color. Take a look at this. This is actually just a super pastel lesser pinstripe. So this is a super Enchi lesser pinstripe. So again, the super Enchi is the super version of Enchi. The pinstripe makes that really reduced animal, and then the lesser gives it that really cool color. But when this one hatched, I was like, oh my God, this has got to be a keeper. There's no way I could sell that animal because that's just too cool. Now let's get back to some banana stuff. That is, again, this is a really soft animal. This is actually a banana Cine Woma, and the Cine Womas are a really unusual combination. When you put them together, you wouldn't think you get what you get, and then you put them into banana, and just look at that. Again, it's not the real purple, but it's one of that just really soft, beautiful pattern, beautiful colored animals. So I couldn't be more happy with this, even though I like the bright purple. This one is a really good animal, and I was super impressed when I finally produced it. And I had never seen one of those before, so I think that's really cool. This is actually getting into something completely different. This is actually a pastel super vanilla lesser. So the vanilla gene is a lot like some of those other enhancing genes. It just kind of brightens things up, cleans things up, and then when you get into super vanillas, they're really cool, and they have really faded heads, super faded head. So this is a pastel, super vanilla, and a lesser on top of it. So that one came out really good. And the thing that's nice is that, you know, when you breed that, every single animal you breed is going to be a vanilla, which is really cool, because normal vanillas are sometimes a little bit hard to tell, much like the normal orange dreams. They're a little bit different, but not so much that you're sure about it. So when you have a super gene, you know it's going to be that. Let's see what we have here. And speaking of a really beautiful animal, this happens to be a super pastel, super vanilla lesser. So it's just like the one we showed before, but instead of normal pastel, this is a super pastel version of that. And again, look at how beautiful that thing looks. I mean, that is just absolutely stunning. I tell you, and there's a lot of animals here that I'm not showing you because they're in shed. They're not that beautiful. I mean, this whole wall and this whole wall over here are nothing but baby ball pythons. So I'm just picking and choosing. Trust me, opening up every drawer is really, really fun. And take a look at this animal here. This is just crazy looking. This goes back to the banana, and this is just literally a banana Enchi ball python. But take a look at the color and pattern of that animal. Holy moly. And I produced several, you know, probably 20 or 30 Enchi bananas in my past. This is the first one that it almost looks like, I swear to gosh, I think it's got calico in it, but I don't think that the female produced it was calico. But I start to wonder, like, is there a chance that that female had a low expression calico in it? Because to me, this looks like a banana calico Enchi. I don't know, what do you guys think? Comment down below, tell me what you think. Or maybe it's just a crazy banana Enchi. All right, this happens to be a silver streak lesser Woma. So basically what that means is it's a super pastel, black pastel, cinnamon Woma ball python. So there's a lot of genes. Look at how busy it looks. I mean, that's the thing that's really interesting. And when you get into this many gene animals, it's almost hard to figure out what's what. There's actually a couple other genes that could potentially be in this breeding, but you can't tell until you start breeding it. That's unfortunate, but nevertheless, a really cool snake. And you know, one of the snakes I just absolutely loved, I showed you guys a little earlier the highway ball pythons and the crystal ball pythons that are allelic. And the super stripes have been around kind of the longest of the allelic animals. As a matter of fact, yellowbellyballpythons.com, Amir, my friend, produced one way back in the 90s, and it was all the rage, and no one knew how he produced it, and we didn't understand how allelic animals really worked, but nevertheless, they're relatively common now, but they're absolutely gorgeous. And again, this is a specter ball python bred to a yellow belly ball python, much like the gravel to yellow bellies produce the highways. The specter to yellow belly produces the super stripe. So again, an allelic animal. Let's get back into some orange dream stuff. Look at this sucker here. This is actually a Mojave spider orange dream. And now you can start to see what that orange dream stuff does. You know, it's got that really clean look, that super colorful look. And remember what I said earlier with the orange dream is that as they grow, they get even prettier. So this animal is just stunning at this size. You can only imagine what it's going to look like in 200 or 300 or 400 grams. That's going to be an amazing animal. And then this is just kind of a little bit of a step up from that, and this is actually a bumblebee yellow belly orange dream. And so again, because so much is going on with it, you don't quite see as much of the orange, but you certainly see that really clean pattern. And again, as that thing grows, it's going to get nicer and nicer. Let's get into another super stripe animal that is really cool. Just like the super stripe I just showed you, this is just the pastel version of that. Isn't it crazy how a pastel can change the look of an animal so much? So this is just literally a pastel yellow belly specter, that combination. And it just tried to bite me. I think it's so cute when ball pythons try to bite because it certainly doesn't hurt whatsoever. But they, again, they have that big attitude. Did you see that? How awesome. That was like a machine gun bite right there. That is awesome. You're such a cute little guy. Let's see what we have here. This is a super pastel thinny lesser vanilla. So that's a lot going on like right there. So essentially you've got a pewter, or you know, actually a silver, not a silver streak, but a sterling, because it's a super pastel cinnamon. You have lesser and you have vanilla, and wow, that combination just makes a gorgeous snake. I mean, just so soft and beautiful looking. That one is definitely a good one. Now we're going to get into something that's kind of interesting. Similar looking snake, but this is actually a pastel lithium vanilla. So what that basically is, the lithium is cinnamon and lesser combined. They call them lithiums. So this is a pastel cinnamon lesser vanilla. And again, you can see just how awesome that is. Looks pretty similar to the snake I just showed you before, but it's got some different genes in it, which makes it pretty cool. Going to move back to actually just to a more simple orange dream animal, and this is actually a Pastavi yellow belly orange dream. Now again, the Pastavi is the pastel and the Mojave. The yellow belly obviously is yellow belly, and then the orange dream is co-dominant that we've been talking about this whole show. But you can see how clean that belly looks. Look at the sides there. It's almost crazy, and that orange dream really influences this animal tremendously, and it's certainly really, really beautiful. Let's see, I think I'm going to show you one last animal here. Oh my gosh, look at how cool this is. Now this is an interesting animal. I actually don't know what it is. It's certainly some sort of a leucistic animal because it has blue eyes, red pupils, it's predominantly white, but look at all the pattern on it. That's what I don't understand, is that this wasn't actually from a blue-eyed leucistic producing animal, so I'm really not sure what this is. Maybe it's a new type of blue-eyed Lucy that I'm working with. I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly is a beautiful, beautiful snake, and I can't wait to see what eventually I can produce from it and see if I can prove out a new gene with it. So regardless, guys, I could have showed you ball pythons all day. I probably could have been down here 8 hours showing you guys stuff. It's just been great to show off the little bit of stuff that I already have. It's been a great year. We still have eggs cooking, believe it or not, and we're coming up on breeding season in a very short period of time. So again, guys, make sure to follow my vlog because you're going to see all the behind the scenes stuff. Again, link in the description. You can check that out. And as always, guys, I'm Facebooking and tweeting my way through things. So you can follow me over at SnakeBytesTV and on Instagram at SnakeBytes.tv and even on Snapchat at SnakeBytesTV. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.